Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra Williamson coming to you from Hardy, Kentucky, in the hills of Appalachia. Yes, indeed, right here in super red Pike County, and right across the river from super red Mingo County, West Virginia. But you know something? It's all right. That's fine. And everything's good. I was out earlier today. I'm doing some door dashing. I do that to make a little extra money and to get me out of the house to actually go out and see people and meet people because I'm taking care of Mom and Gideon and my sister Irma and so every now and then that's how I get out to take a break. Okay, so I do that to get out. So anyway, I had to go in and do some shopping for someone at a Dollar General store this morning, and so I put all the stuff up there and I say, "Hey, how you doing? Good morning. You ready to go?" And all that kind of stuff. She said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're ready to go." And I'm dressed like this, but there are a lot of people out in the community who have flown off the handle about stuff like that. But I'm glad that my response is, I learned. I learned all this stuff in the Marine Corps. I kind of talk like that every now and then. No, I just have fun with it. Go around having fun. But we can't have fun about this particular topic that I'm again talking about today. I mentioned it yesterday during the midday muster. I mentioned it yet last night during the Path Forward show at 6 Eastern. And it really just irks me in a big way that we've been saying for years now that it was never about the kids. It was never about trans women in athletics and playing, in sports with genetic women. Been saying that for a long time. It has never been about that. Those are the things they can use to get you all of you, engaged in this topic and have an opinion about it, and they shape it. They're the ones driving this narrative. These people who are running the country right now and doing everything in their power to keep in your face trans people in the country. But yet you have Pete Hegseth, who decided to do something that is just asinine, but it also is not a surprise. I mean, if you've been listening and paying attention for the past number of years now, I've been saying this for a while. It was never just about that group in the LGBT spectrum. It was about the whole thing, all of it. They have been after removing them from society, fighting against them for at least 75 years. at least that long, from the early 50s on up, starting in McCarthy period and going right on through the Lavender Scare in the late 50s, when they kicked out all the gays and lesbians out of the federal government because, they were security risks. Bullshit. Anyway, that's my take on it. But so they went after them then, and then got Pete Hegseth doing it again now, going after the name of a ship, the USNS Harvey Milk. He wants it. He ordered the Navy to rename it during Pride Month. And the only reason for doing it is to poke and antagonize and get people mad. And that's what he's doing. He's in a position of power where he can go out and do those kind of things. This stuff comes and goes in waves, as I mentioned yesterday on both shows. This stuff comes and goes in waves. Whenever the minority population start gaining a little bit of freedom, a little bit more of parity with the rest of the population of the country. No, they're not looking for any more or less. They just certainly don't want less, but they don't want any more than. They're not looking for anything extra. They just want the same as. That's equality. And the way they're treated, equality in the way that their rights are adjudicated and protected and shielded under the law. And there's people out here over on the right side right now, on the conservative side of things, who will tell you right straight to your face, you know, you already have all those laws protecting you. Why do you want anything more? And I'm thinking, really? Well, you've got your head stuck in the sand and the other part of you sticking out. Yeah, really. That's exactly what it is. So when Hegseth, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, says that he is ordering the Navy to rename the Harvey Milk during Pride Month and will be making an announcement about it in the middle of this month, well, guess what? It's very deliberate. They're going after all the minority populations. This ship is part of the John Lewis class of ships. There's others. There are other ships in this group that represent civil rights icons. And that's what he's going after, folks. And he's letting you know that. And he's making a point of doing it during Pride Month. And there's still people in this country who'll say, you don't need Pride Month. I mean, come on. Everybody's got pride, right? I'm thinking, man, where have you been? Where have you been? Which holler have you been up? And how far up in there are you? Because you need to come out and get some sunlight. Yeah, I'm trying to bring it to you, but there's a side note. All right, back in the day, back when I was elementary school or middle school or whatever, here in Pike County, Kentucky, didn't have middle school back then, but elementary school back then, we'd take a trip to visit our cousins down on Brushy Creek in Pike County, Kentucky. And I swear we had to take our own sunlight. The mountains were so close in and the valley is so deep that if you didn't take your own sunlight, you'd run out of sunlight in a couple hours. It was, yeah, that's what it felt like to me. That's what we're experiencing right now, though, is this complete lack of light. Complete lack of understanding or respect for people who are different than you, who see the world differently, who live life differently, who love differently from you, who live differently in every respect in their lives. But this current iteration of the government, of our conservative government, they are out to stamp out of existence minority populations or anything that recognizes them for who they are. I mean, it doesn't just go with LGBT people, folks. When Kevin Roberts said in the foreword to the mandate for leadership under the Project 2025, that he wanted certain words removed from the whole of the federal government and across all the states in this nation. You know what those words were? Same things like sexual orientation, gender identity, the word abortion, gender, everything. And then he also said any research that's associated with all of those things, and anyone who is out there in this LGBT community, all of it, they considers them all to be just pornographers and child abusers. And they're going after gay families and lesbian families who are adopting kids or have kids of their own. But do you think that's really new? Is that something new? Have y'all seen this or heard it anywhere else? There was a pamphlet written in 2005 talking about that. And it's something that's been going on for quite a long time. And it's coming out of this ultra on steroids religious nationalist perspective. And I choose religious nationalist perspective because it can be Muslim nationalist, it can be Hindu or Christian nationalists, it can be nativist nationalist. It is Christian nationalist today, though. And it's the one that's on steroids. I mean, this is not your everyday version of Christian nationalism, folks. This is the one that says the entire country is under them, that they have a right and responsibility to guide this country morally and ethically. No, they don't. That puts us in the category of Ayatollah Khomeini and all of those over there who have the religious structure, and then any semblance of government underneath that can be overridden at any moment by the Ayatollah. But that's how they see themselves in this country. That is a different form of social Darwinism, unlike what was going on in the 1880s and 1890s. It was social Darwinism then, but it was mainly just about, the wealthy and the rich and the industrialists, the robber barons, as they were called, felt that they were entitled to you working your butt off for them at zero, very little cost, with no concern for your life or your well-being, because they believed they were entitled to do that since they were there. They had succeeded. That's Trump, by the way. That is exactly who Trump is, regardless of what you might think about it. I mean, all you have to do is look at what he surrounds himself with. What is it? What is it that Trump surrounds himself with? What physical manifestation of the Gilded Age does Trump surround himself with and envisions himself as being entitled to it? All the gold and sparkly stuff, folks. The golden toilet, the golden escalator, the whole thing. And in the Oval Office, now it just looks like it's been plastered over with this gold paint everywhere. I mean, it's just horrendous. And it is definitely a problem. But he's the one in power. People put him there. Americans put him there in that office to do what they thought he said he was going to do, but when in fact it's just all about him, right? You got Hegseth out here trying to rename ships and going after all the trans people in the military, and they won't stop there. They're going to stop, and I believe this. I can see it coming. I can see it coming now. Those veterans who are getting care at the VA now because they were grandfathered in as trans people who are getting care, they're going to stop that too. They're going after it as well. It's not stopping there. Their goal is to stop the care for anybody who's different, including all the LGB and the T veterans. Right now, the way it's set up is if a new transgender veteran comes in and tries to get care at the VA, they'll deny them the care, hormonal care or anything like that, or psychological support, medical support, or anything like that. They'll deny the new ones, but they say they're keeping the old ones. Well, I've been after Doug Collins for a while now to talk with me about all of this. And for quite some time, all you hear Doug Collins say, Secretary Collins of the VA, what you hear him saying is, veterans are happy with what we're doing. And he gets, every time a veteran goes, yeah, we're happy with what you're doing, he goes, well, thank you, so-and-so. I appreciate it. He's over on Fox with two different accounts, and it's not him. There's the communications people in there are doing all of this. I know that, but they're not talking back to the veterans. They're not engaging with the veterans. I can tell you from knowledge that I have that comes to me nearly every other day or so, the health care that we are getting now that's being stymied and slowed down and kind of slow rolled. Because the care providers, the providers inside the VA are scared to death to do anything or speak up. They're afraid they'll get fired. And that's understandable. I understand that. They have families to feed and take care of. Absolutely. They've got to take care of themselves. Now, do not begrudge them of that, okay? Not ever will I say that. But that's what's going on, though. We have veterans who are asking for care, who are trans, and their care is just being slow walked through the whole process. I mean, it's just disgusting. And then you have the 3 Air Force cadets who were not cadets now, but in the class of 2025, who were transgender, who accomplished everything that was set before them and did it exceptionally well. There were no problems with them academically or physically or at all. They could meet all the standards, but yet come graduation day, they received their diploma, but not their commission into the Air Force. For no other reason than bigoted stupidity coming from Hegseth and Kevin Roberts and Jesse Waters, Greg Gutfeld, and all these people over there who like to sit around the table and the desk and got their legs all spread eagle and stuff. Well, there's nothing down there to look at. You have to have a magnifying glass to find anything because they kind of project their masculinity to make you think they got something. They don't. Yeah, they don't. They don't. Oh my God. But the Harvey Milk situation pisses me off for another big reason too, because a friend and I sitting on what she called her thinking bench. Start say something else. Thinking bench. Right there that overlooks the Severn River on one side and the Chesapeake Bay out to the front. I mean, you've got the Chesapeake Bay and the Severn River and Annapolis Naval Academy in the city of Annapolis over here. But she and I were sitting there on her favorite bench, and we're talking about all these things. We're talking about the Harvey Milk because Paula Nura, she was the one, she was a co-sponsor for the Harvey Milk when the keel was laid. They got two co-sponsors. One was Senator Dianne Feinstein, and the other one was Paula Nura, class of 1985 from the Naval Academy. And I'm class of 84. And so we're sitting there chatting and talking about all this stuff, talking about some stuff that's taking place in the museum that she had been able to get them to finally do, to acknowledge some things on leadership and accomplishments of minorities within the Navy and in Navy leadership and all that kind of stuff. And I know right now that she is livid, because she's the one who took the bottle of sparkling champagne and broke it over the bow of the ship. Well, it bounced the first time, but broke it over the bow of the ship to christen it as the Harvey Milk. It's so disgusting to me. I'm almost at a loss for words to describe it, but I've known this was coming. We knew that this was coming. And what does the Harvey Milk have to do with two transgender graduates from the Naval Academy? Well, Hegseth is going after everything that Paula and I have had any impact on, have had any influence on. And he has made a special case out of the Naval Academy. I dare say that if I go there, and I intend to go there, if I go there and go to the museum and go walking around the campus, there will be no references to Paula on that campus or in the museum. There was a display that had been set up for what she had accomplished. Paula is after her time in the Navy, went in and became a nurse and then a lawyer, and now works for Johns Hopkins, or at least did. I don't know about right at this particular moment, but it is disgusting to me that Hegseth has got such a thing for going after the academy. All of them, really, but the Naval Academy specifically. That's the first one he went after and targeted specifically. And I could only think of one valid reason why, and it has to do with Paula and myself. And there are other trans people at the Naval Academy who graduated from there, 1984, or let's see, 1984, but 1964, 84, 85, 86, 87, and all the way up into the 2000s. It's just mind-boggling to me. But at the same time, they're going after every minority in the whole government, okay? They don't want to acknowledge your existence. They don't want to do anything to study your health and well-being. And we all know that there are social determinants of health that influence you because of that status of who you are. All you have to do is look at what's going on within the trans community right now to see it real well. Every time, let me just tell you, I watch Fox News. I watch the 5 different shows throughout the day. I don't watch any other news. Now, I do go over and look at Bing on Microsoft, get the Microsoft news. I go to Google and get Google News, and I'm reading all the news stories and all that kind of stuff. But the only news show I watch anymore is Fox. And I've been doing that for about a year and a half now since I came back to Eastern Kentucky. Well, because that's the only thing that's on. Unsurprisingly. But anyway, so I've watched these people, And all they do is go, I mean, every day there's another thing about trans people. And naturally, and of course, we keep giving them ammunition to use against us. We keep giving them the bullets to go, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. See what they did? I mean, come on. I mean, a friend of mine who is actually a sponsor of this program from down in Florida told me that, shoot, the whole price of eggs, I mean, they've been blaming it on trans people, it feels like. It's supposed to be going down. I haven't seen that yet at the Walmart. But trans people are being blamed for everything, if not directly, indirectly. Okay? You got the people out there who are winning sporting events left and right. There are physical differences between someone who went through male puberty and genetic women. It's slight, but it's enough to make a difference in athletics. I know from the science, I know from the genetics of it, I know that these things, the differences are insignificant, really, in that respect, genetically. However, when you start seeing and hearing stories of trans people winning in races, winning in swimming, winning in all kinds of things, and I'm not talking about pool or billiards, I'm not talking about chess. I mean, that's just asinine, or dart throwing. That's just asinine crazy for people to say that they won't compete with a trans person there. That's BS. That's bigotry. But in this physical world of weightlifting and swimming and running, that advantage that these people have from having gone through male puberty is significant enough for them to win. Not all the time. Most do not, but all it takes is just a handful to actually go, ah, here they are. They're taking all the stuff from women. But let me just tell you this. It's never been about that. It's about subjugating all minorities in this country. Doing away with everything that has to do with studying the impact on their health, their well-being, their psychological stability. When I watch Fox News, I know every time one of them opens their mouth, somebody's going to say, it's the transgender people. And all I can do is, I just have to turn away and go, oh my God, not again. One more time, they're doing it. So I usually go onto the Twitter channels and go out there and go after whoever said it over there on the 5. That's usually where I find it. It's everywhere else too. But they're making a point of it. And they're making a point of it because they want you to keep it in your mind that these are the people who are causing all the troubles in your life. I mean, we're the ones who caused the tariffs to go up, and we're the ones that caused the price of eggs to go up and oil to go up. And yeah, right. I mean, the rainstorm that came down the holler here, I mean, that, obviously we had a lot to do with that. We go, yay, it's a trans storm. Oh my God. Whew. So yeah, I'm livid about Hegseth ordering the name change for the Harvey Milk. He was a gay icon. He was elected to office as a supervisor in San Francisco, served 11 months before being assassinated. Need I say more? All right, let me just change the topic slightly. Tomorrow, the 6th, 2 p.m., Washington, D.C., that's Eastern time. March will occur on the National Mall of Veterans, United Veterans. This will be nonpartisan. The speakers will represent the Republicans as well as Democrats. They're coming from all across the country, meeting on the National Mall in front of the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, I believe, right across from 6th Avenue there in that area of the mall. If you're familiar with the city, you know what I'm talking about, but you can pinpoint with the map. Get there early if you're going to go participate. If you're a veteran, regardless of the political party. If you are someone who has been laid off or fired from federal government and you're a veteran, you need to be there and be a part of this. They're calling it the second bonus army. The reason it's the second bonus army is the first one was in the 1930s, 1931 or 2, something like that. The soldiers who had come back from the First World War were demanding that their benefits be given to them. And they had been denied that. The political system in the country, chopped their legs out from under them, said, hey, we're going to take care of you. And then when it came time to take care of them, they didn't. So the first bonus army was a march on DC to do exactly that, to try to get them to act, to take care of veterans. Now we have Doug Collins, who says he is taking care of veterans and everybody's happy about it. There's some changes taking place and it's all for the better. He still refuses to talk to me about it. But anyway, with all of that, see you this evening at 6.